Jay, crude is sell here.
I think so, John. It's been really a rip-roar this year, up somewhat close to 12%, I think, over the last month, up 17% year to date. So, I mean, if you're up 15, 20% on something in 3 or 4 months, I think taking a little off the table on news like today probably makes some sense. The trick is with the stocks. Stocks have also done well, been the best sector of the past month, but have not performed anywhere near as much as the crude itself. So probably sell the crude and hold the stocks.
So, Chris, the story over the last year or so really has been this rally in crude, but an equity investor that's just sat there and said, I don't believe it, I don't believe it. Fine. Then over the last month finally capitulated. What now?
That's exactly it. They finally capitulated, and now they're saying, what do I do? Right? Prices are higher, much higher than we ever thought. And the talk was for months that the commodity had outperformed the stock, so the stocks will work, and they didn't. But now the stocks are starting to work, and what we've seen in the marketplace is there is short-term momentum. So as they start to work, we get more and more questions about these things, and we wouldn't be surprised to see people move back into the space.
So I guess what it's dependent on, Jay, is whether you consider this move in crude over the last year a short-term supply dynamic that may change, may wash out, incredibly uncertain, or something more sustainable, a pickup in real demand here in the United States, in places in Asia, in China, more specifically. Which one is it for you?
I think it's both, in the sense that it's both supply. There's been supply constraints, and this is another example of what we're talking about this morning, right? Likely to be supply constraints. And then there is that global recovery, which I'm a believer is going to sustain itself, right? The market, broadly speaking, has been trying to deal with a pause issue versus a slowdown in global growth. I'm a believer in a pause and a recovery, so I'm a believer in continued pricing, good pricing for crude, not necessarily going dramatically higher from where it is today, but decent pricing because the supply-demand dynamic is favorable.
Chris, earlier this year, at the beginning of this year, I spoke to Mike Wilson of Morgan Stanley, a peer of yours, and he said, go long energy, classic late cycle sector. Is that what we're starting to see emerge, or is it still too early?
So one thing about late cycle, we've been late in the cycle for the last 1, 2, and 3 years. So to talk about things being late cycle, it's tough for me, right?
Yeah.
And what we're doing is we're looking at earnings. We're following the earnings. And the earnings for the space are starting to improve, as well with other spaces. And we think ultimately what's going to happen, and what we're seeing in the marketplace, is price will follow earnings. And as oil has improved, you're starting to see the earnings improve.